Welcome back to Depression Notes YouTube page. Today we're going to do a YouTube video that we have done before, but we're going to mix it up a little bit. It's going to be a depression test to sort of identify whether or not you could possibly be at risk of having depression. What you're going to need for this video, you're not going to need much for this video, but basically it would be good to have on hand maybe a piece of paper or a notebook or something like that, and a pen. Write some stuff down. We're going to have some numbers that we're going to add up at the end. So we have 10 questions I'm going to ask you, and you're going to have to answer truthfully if you want the most accurate result on this. Basically, before I start this video, I want to make it very, very clear that I'm not a doctor. So with this quiz, it might identify whether if you're at risk, but it does not determine whether you definitely have depression, and to do that you need to go to a mental health professional or a GP or something like that. But this video will help you know whether there is an issue and that you may need to get in contact with someone. So I'm going to ask you a question whether you felt this certain emotion or this certain thing in the past 2 weeks. We're going to do it in a 2-week time scale just because that's easy to remember. And I'm going to ask you to rank it on a score of 0 to 4. So basically the numbers have importance. So basically 0 is that you've never felt these things at all, it's just not at all. 1 is for a few of the days, so say 3 or less. 2 is for several days, so we're going to say 5 to 7 days. 3 is for more than half the days, so we're going to go over a week for that. And 4 is for nearly every single day. But this is how we're going to lay it out. So we're going to have each of the things. You don't actually have to write the numbers in that side. Like, I'm just doing that so it's easy because there's going to be 10 questions. And then you write the corresponding number to what you most feel. So say, I ask you, have you felt this in the past 2 weeks? You say, not at all. You will put a 0 in the box. But if you have felt it nearly every single day, you'll put a 4 in the box. Okay, so let's get started. The first question I'm going to ask you is, have you had little interest or pleasure in doing things over the past 2 weeks? If you have still got pleasure and enjoyment in doing things all the time, like you've never had any lack of interest, put a 0. If you have had a few days where you've had little interest, but the majority of the days you've been interested in things, put a 1. If you have had several days, so 5 to 7 days where you've had little interest, put 2. If you have had more than half the days where you've had little interest in doing things, put a 3. And put a 4 if you have had like no interest in doing things for every single day for the past 2 weeks. The next thing is, have you felt down or low or hopeless in the past 2 weeks? So put a 0 if it's not at all, put 1 if it's a few days, 3, 2, I'm getting confused with numbers now, 2, several days, 3, more than half the days, and 4, every single day. Whether you have had trouble with sleeping, whether that be you are sleeping too little, whether it means you're having trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or if you're oversleeping. The next one is whether you have felt hopeless about things, say you're feeling like you were let down to your family, your friends and yourself. See, with eating, whether that be you have a poor appetite or you've been overeating. So if you've had these for the past 2 weeks, these symptoms, put a number in the box for how you best feel. Felt that you have let people down, say whether that be yourself or your family, so you may have felt like a burden on them or something like that. Next one, if you had trouble concentrating, whether that be at work or at school, so you just can't focus the same way you used to. Next one is whether you have moved more slowly than other people, say you may have noticed that you may have been moving or talking more slowly, then put a number in the box. One is, have you felt if you hurt yourself in the past 2 weeks? If you do hurt yourself, reminder to go to your emergency department if it's very serious, or go to your GP if it's something you really need to talk about straight away. If you are hurting yourself, it's something you need to get attention with straight away. Final one is, have the answers to these questions affected your life? Say, has your trouble with sleeping affected everyday life? Has your trouble with feeling like a burden affected everyday life? And if it's not affected everyday life, put a 0. If it has, a few days, 1. Several days, 2, more than half the days, 3, and nearly every day has affected your life, put a 4. You're going to want to total your scores up, and it will be out of 40 because there have been 10 questions. So do that now and just pause the video for a second just while you add them up. If your score is 10 or less, you're at quite a low risk. You may feel like you have a certain issue, but possibly depression isn't the issue you have in your life at the current moment. So maybe just try see if it's a family thing, you have something going on in your personal life that might be affecting your life to think you may possibly have depression, but it may not actually be depression. But again, if you are worried, just make sure you go to your GP. So if you have 10 to 20, you are at a moderate risk. So there could be a slight chance that you do have depression, but just make sure you go see your GP, because there is quite a moderate risk that you may actually have depression. But again, it could be something in your personal life. Have 21 to 30, if you're in that bracket, then basically you should probably go see your GP, because you're at quite a high risk of depression. You are feeling pretty hopeless about yourself and stuff like that, and it's just a really good thing that there's a very high chance that you have depression, that you should just try see someone, see what you can do and what's the best sort of treatment. And if you have scored 31 to 40, you're at a severe risk of depression. So you should probably try visit your GP or mental health care professional, or anyone you can as soon as possible. Reminder that you should always talk about it no matter what the risk of your depression is. And you may have depression and you may have scored 0 to 10. That doesn't mean that you don't have depression, because this quiz is not completely accurate. It is up to a mental health care professional to determine whether or not you have depression. But this video is just sort of help whether you may need to get help. And if you do feel you need to get help and this quiz has said you've not like you're only in the low risk, you still may be at risk. So just make sure you try make sure you try just see someone if you are still a bit concerned about whether or not you suffer from depression. If you've liked this video, please make sure you follow Depression Notes on Instagram and on Twitter. And if you want to see more of my videos, I have my own YouTube channel. I will put the link in the description below. And yeah, comment below your scores and your experiences of depression if you want, if you're comfortable with sharing that with everyone. And if you have any video suggestions, please DM us on Twitter or on Instagram, or just comment below any video suggestions. We'll be happy to take any video suggestions on board. It will mean a lot to us. And make sure you like and subscribe. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it taught you a bit more about whether or not you might be at risk of depression.